Everything is balanced in my life and I feel fulfilled and I have the opportunity to give to the world. I have the opportunity to bring value to other people. That's for me is my ultimate life that I want to create for myself. If someone was capable of doing something, if someone was capable of manifesting or creating their dream life, then I can do it too. Nothing and no one stops me on this way. Universe is always on my side. It's always helping me. It's leading me to something that's very important for me. It wants the same for me as what I want. I pretty much could never feel like I can utilize my full potential in that country. It's all the reasoning that your mind gives you based on the expectations that are put upon you by the outside world. All the restrictions are in your head. And for those people who might be watching this video, who do want to know how to write a resume, how to go through the interview process, who want to receive some valuable tips to land in your first corporate career job or maybe change your corporate career job, I always welcome comments in the comment section. And if someone does have a question, I will be happy to answer. If someone wants to book a coaching session with me, I'm always happy to do so as well. If I thought at that time that, well, I'm not assertive, I'm not confident, then I cannot do this job, then I wouldn't be where I am right now in my career, being happy, prosperous, up-leveling my income, and just in general being happy and satisfied with what I do every single day. When I'm creating the life that I want, I'm really focusing on what this life looks like for me. And for me, it is waking up excited every day, being able to bring value to this world and feel fulfilled because of doing that. It's when everything comes easy to me. That's what I consider my dream life, and that's what I'm striving for. I was very interested in manifestation and the law of attraction since I was a kid, and I was doing visualization when I was young, and I didn't realize that that was visualization that I was doing, but I was always thinking in pictures, and I was always imagining myself being in places, having things. And my very first experience with that was actually me imagining living in Canada. And at that time, I didn't even know what Canada is. It was some movie that I watched that inspired me to travel to this country and eventually live in Canada. So many years after, this dream came true. And I truly believe in the power of visualization. I was never visualizing anything on purpose in order to have this thing or this event, this experience in my life. It just happened on its own, as if the universe has always had my back and the universe always knew what I needed. And then I started looking more deeply into visualization. I was doing meditations and affirmations. I was studying the law of attraction. I was taking coaching lessons. I was doing therapy. I was reading a lot of books. Books were always something that inspired me. They taught me that if someone was able to do it, then you can do it too. There is no limitations, there is no restriction. If someone was capable of doing something, if someone was capable of manifesting or creating their dream life, then I can do it too. Nothing and no one stops me on this way. And that being said, this journey wasn't perfect. I did have a fair share of troubles and difficulties and problems and traumas in my life. It did take a lot of work with my childhood traumas, with my past experiences, with the relationships that I used to have in my life. I also had a lot of difficult situations. I had an eating disorder for many years. I was on antidepressants for a year. I had a very tragic death in my life. And despite all that, I still kept in mind that universe is always on my side. It's always helping me. It's leading me to something that's very important for me. It wants the same for me as what I want. And all these experiences are there for me to help me shape the way I am, help me expand the way I view the world, and expand the way that I view myself. They helped me get stronger in what I want. They helped me get clearer on my goals and just keep pursuing them. My life really started changing when pandemic started. And I understand that pandemic was a really tough experience for many people. For me, it was a really important time to refocus on myself, to get back to what I want in my life, to look into the values that I have about myself, about my surrounding, about the people that are in my life. Because when I was in the loop of things before pandemic, all the things in my life were just going on a circle, and sometimes it's very hard to stop and to think, what is actually that you want, what is actually that's valuable for you. When pandemic happened, it felt like everything just froze. And there was all this time for myself to refocus, to restructure my life. And during that time, I actually started doing a lot of practical steps. I was taking a lot of different virtual workshops, personal development classes. I was doing therapy. I was really studying myself. I was studying what are my values, what are my beliefs, what is there that I want to keep in my life, and what is there that I want to change, what is there that's stopping me from getting into the next level of my life. And that's when I got certified as a coach. It's when I received my diploma in human resources and decided to grow my corporate career. That's when I moved in with my partner. That's the time when I up-leveled my income. And also, just quite recently, I purchased my first vacation home in Mexico. I know it's a long answer, but the point here is that you just never stop. You know your goal, you know your why. No matter what difficulties life throws at you, they're all for your greater good. They're all there to help you be stronger, be smarter, be more determined, and to prove to yourself that this life that you're trying to create is actually what you want. I decided to move to Canada because in some way it has always been my soul country, just because I've always been visualizing it. Even before I had a concept of moving countries and being able to live somewhere else instead of where you are born. On the one hand, my parents did a lot of work to push me to challenge myself and to move to Canada. I originally moved here by myself. I didn't have any friends, any family here. I even did not have a place when I first moved. I had to figure everything out. And before that, I always lived with my parents. I never had an experience to actually go somewhere, live even within my home country. I never had that experience to travel by myself and to kind of establish my own ways in a new place. And here I am, halfway across the world, trying to figure out how to establish my life in Canada. On the other hand, I always felt that Russia has never been my country. The cultural beliefs were never sitting fine with me. And don't take me wrong, I love my home country and I love my city. It's a beautiful city. It's in the south of Russia. It's close to Black Sea. There is always sun there, 312 days a year. And I genuinely do, I have a very good experience. I have really nice memories of living in that city. But as much as I love it, I understood that I could not fulfill my potential being there. I have changed my career 3 times. I've always been a very ambitious person and very competitive. And again, I always thought that if someone can change their life and can grow corporate to the levels that I want to be, I can do it too. I've always wanted to be in hospitality and specifically in the hotel industry. I watched this movie, it's called Red Eye. In the very beginning, there was this scene where before her going to vacation to her parents, she is in the hotel and she's the manager of the hotel and she gives some instructions to one of her employees. And that image got stuck in my brain to the point where it became my dream career. I always wanted to work in the hospitality and the hotel industry. So when I moved to Canada, I started studying in Douglas College and I studied hospitality and international business in order to get into the hotel industry. And that's what happened. I started working in Sheraton Wall Center. It's a 4-star hotel in downtown Vancouver, and I love the crap out of it. I was working in the hotel for about 5.5 years, and I would have kept working there if it were not for the pandemic. To be completely honest, I do remember the last several months working there when I already realized that it's not something that I want to pursue further. I realized that there has to be another way, there has to be something else that I want to do. And I always loved working with people. But unfortunately, I fell out of love with hospitality and the hotel industry. And then pandemic happened. I was laid off and I had all this time for myself to really figure out what I want to do. And that's when I started pursuing the diploma in human resources. I wanted to have something a little bit more corporate. I wanted to work in the office environment instead of working in the hotel. And I wanted to have a little bit more structure to what I do. I wanted to have it 9 to 5. I didn't want to work weekends or I didn't want to work overtime anymore. I wanted to have salary. I started working on my diploma for the HR specialist. And that was very high intensity compressed program that I managed to complete in 4 months and receive the diploma. And then after pandemic was over, or almost over, I started looking for a job in HR. And it wasn't as easy because I didn't have experience in HR, and the market was just not the best because so many people were laid off and everyone was looking for a job. That's why it was extra hard to really find something that would suit me and would suit my goals. And my partner, meantime, got me an opportunity in one of the biggest retail companies in States and Canada. And I joined their customer care department and was working in the executive resolutions team. And I was dealing with the worst complaints of the customers that the regular customer service wasn't able to solve. And I've been working there on a contract basis. I worked there for approximately 5 months. And it's been really a challenge at first because you have to really learn how to face negativity, because pretty much everyone who's complaining to the executive resolutions team is very upset about something that happened with the company. It was a really good learning curve. The team was amazing and everyone was very supportive. That makes sense because the job is so stressful and the team was so nice. So it was a very nice balance. And even though I knew that I'm not gonna stay there for a long time, I did enjoy working. And I already had a sense of working somewhat in the corporate because I did have a strict schedule. It was 8 to 4. And I did enjoy that aspect. And then I did land at my first HR opportunity. I was an HR recruiter. And I have to say that I was so grateful for this opportunity, because whenever you're looking for an opportunity in the new industry, always bear in mind that even if you're not completely satisfied with what you're getting at first, it's very important to just land somewhere in your field. And that's how I took it, because that opportunity wasn't the best out there for myself. It was a really high intensity recruiting. I did have to do a lot of calls constantly, just checking on the applications that came through from external sources and calling people to book for one and the same type of opportunity. So it felt more like a call center than a recruitment position. But it did give me that title on my resume. But it's not even the title that helped me eventually land with the opportunity that I love, it's the people. So it's another lesson that I learned: always network, always be open, always talk to your coworkers, always try to figure out what's going on in their life and share what's going on in your life. Because one of the coworkers there was thinking to change her position, and he was being tried to be recruited by this company where one of his other friends was working, and he was contemplating, and then he finally decided that that's where he wants to go. And when he moved to this new company, he pretty much took me with him. I'm currently a headhunter, so yes, I changed my career path 3 times, and I'm finally where I want to be, where I want to grow, and where I want to build my corporate career. I am working in the new company for 7 months, and I see a lot of growth and a lot of potential for me to be there and to grow corporate, to kind of fulfill this desire to get into the management level in the corporate career. But at the same time, as I mentioned, I am a coach, and I do have some clients that I'm coaching in my free time. I can't dedicate a lot of the time to that right now because I'm focusing on growing my corporate career. But I am planning to be more involved in my coaching because there is so much experience that I went through in my life. There is so much that I overcame, and I feel like there is so much that I can help people with. That's why I am planning to spend more time in coaching. For me, to change my career in my 30s, and that's actually what happened because I did land in HR and headhunting in my 30s, was not hard. I don't think that it is specifically related to how old you are or how young you are. It does not matter. There are people who change their careers easy in their 20s. There are people who change their careers easy when they're in their 50s or 60s. I do come across that often because as a headhunter, I work with a lot of people, and I see constantly that it is easy. 2 things here to bear in mind is that you should always remember your why. Whenever you think that life is passing by you, you're too old, you can't possibly go back to school and study to get new education, It's all the reasoning that your mind gives you based on the expectations that are put upon you by the outside world. If you do want to change, there is always time. You can always make time to go back to school, to find ways, or to work on your experience, or even to work on your networking skills, to find a job, to change your career. Nothing should restrict you from wanting that, especially if you are ambitious, if you love competition, if you generally feel that you're thriving in 9 to 5, your age does not matter. There is no restrictions. All the restrictions are in your head. Always stay realistic to what your goals are. Behind any decision in life, there is a plan, there is goals that you write down for yourself, there are specific steps that you're taking. And if you are someone who at this time cannot possibly change their career because of certain obstacles or certain life circumstances, it still doesn't mean that you will never be able to do that. And since we're talking about changing your career and having no limitations in when you can do that, for example, if you have parents you're taking care of, if you have kids you're taking care of, even if right now is not the time, it does not mean that in 1, 2, or 5 years from now on, it will not be possible for you. I love being a headhunter. A headhunter is a very nice combination of HR and recruitment and sales. So what I ultimately do is I find talent. I help companies find talent, and also I help candidates find opportunities. For me, as I mentioned in the beginning, when I'm creating the life that I love, it's very important for me to bring value to this world. And this became a great outlet to bring in this value, and I love that. I not only help companies find talent, I also help people. I coach people, I help them prepare for the interview, I help them modify their resumes. I do have a lot of insights on what the managers will be asking for and how to correctly prepare for your interview, how to write your cover letter, what to mention, what not to mention. And even though headhunting is primarily focused on the companies, I do spend a lot of time with the candidates, coaching them. And for those people who might be watching this video, who do want to know how to write the resume, how to go through the interview process, who want to receive some valuable tips to land in your first corporate career job, or maybe change your corporate career job, I always welcome comments in the comment section. And if someone does have a question, I will be happy to answer. Or if someone wants to book a coaching session with me, I'm always happy to do so as well. If you do want to become a recruiter or a headhunter, but you feel like you're not very confident and very assertive, if you want something in your life, it means that in some type of a parallel reality, you already have it. And if you were not made to be a recruiter or a headhunter, you would not want that. The fact that you want to be a headhunter or recruiter stresses the fact that you have all the capabilities to do so. If you feel like you don't possess enough confidence or enough assertiveness, it's simple practice. The more you practice, the more you do something, the more you grow, the more you become better at it, right? So when I first started, I was not confident. I was very shy. I in general, back in the time when I lived in Russia, I was the shyest person ever. Always consumed in my own world. I was not very sociable. All I was doing is going to school and reading. That's all I did. I never went out. I had a few friends, but I wasn't really a very approachable person. I didn't have great communication, persuasion, or sales skills. And that all came with time, because if I thought at that time that, well, I'm not assertive, I'm not confident, then I cannot do this job, then I wouldn't be where I am right now in my career, being happy, prosperous, up-leveling my income, and just in general being happy and satisfied with what I do every single day. I decided to buy a vacation home in Mexico for several reasons. First of all, if you're someone who lives in Canada, you probably know that the housing market here sucks. and it is what it is. However, I always wanted to invest in the property. I started my investment journey with investing in the market and buying stocks and bonds and ETFs. When recession started happening, I was really thinking about it because there is no certainty in anything in this world. However, there is a little bit more certainty in buying property versus in just investing in the market or buying cryptocurrency. That's why this was one of the main reasons for me to invest in the property. And the second reason is because I wanted to have a vacation home. And out of all vacation destinations that are around Canada, Mexico is the closest. We bought 2 places in Mexico. One place I bought with my mom and one place I bought by myself. And both of those places are on the east side of Mexico. It's the Cancun area. And this area is developing very fast. The Mexican president now invests a lot of money in developing that area. They're building a long railroad that goes through Mexico, through the East Coast. It's a tourist attraction. They do spend a lot of money on uplifting that area. That's why a lot of people now do purchase places there, because the housing value on those places is going to go up. That was the second reason. And this third reason is my mom. She used to live in Canada and in Vancouver, and the weather here is not the best. Someone who is from the south of Russia, where you have the sun 312 days per year, living in Vancouver where the sun shines 12 days per year, is not the best. That's why we kind of decided to collectively buy the places there so that we can rent out one of the places and she can live in the other place and just enjoy the sun, and I can travel there pretty much whenever I want. Thanks for having me. It was really fun for me to share all these little things that happened to me in the past, and maybe they could inspire someone to start growing their corporate career or pick up a personal development book that they were postponing for a very long time, or maybe even look into manifestation and the law of attraction and, do some visualizations. Thanks for having me again, and we'll chat soon.